My name is Carl E. Ray, C-A-R-L, Ray. Born 10/20/27. That's 1927.
And what number of child were you? How many?
Let's see. I was number 3. I was the 2 older sisters and a younger brother. They made a down payment on, let's see, October of 1899, and made a down payment on it, and then went on from there, and had the best cotton crop that he ever raised, and paid it off in 1 year.
Wow.
I never did grow watermelons commercially, but we always had some watermelon for the farm, corn, and cane for hay. But our main thing was milk. I think around 1925, that's where he had a few cows that he milked, but to really get serious about it, I think 1925 is a good date. We had 2 bulls, Sunshine. He had horns. He was from a famous Jersey band in San Antonio. And then we had bought a Holstein younger bull. And after they had been around, and this Jersey bull was the boss, and the Holstein bull had to stand back and everything. And so once the Holstein and the Jersey got in a fight, and the Holstein won. And that wasn't any good, because when we needed a bull, we'll just step to the gate and open up, let the bull come in the lot, and then later put him out. So I didn't like that. That bull wouldn't let the Jersey come in. And I said, well, I'm gonna fix you. And so we had a red 4-wheel Jeep, 4-wheel drive Jeep. And I made a run at that Holstein bull, and he put his head down, and he picked the front end of that Jeep up. And what am I gonna do? I stepped on the gas and pushed him for about 100 yards for messing up our routine. But I'll tell you what, I let it stop. We stopped, and I let eased away from that bull. We came back to the house, never tried that trick again. That's my bullfighting.
Yeah, it's your bullfighting.
Because that bull crossed the line, Eckel and Curtis and I put that bull down in the lot and cut it off with a meat saw.
His horns?
Both.
Oh.
Both horns, cut it off with a meat saw. Eckel was the guy that put the bull down on the concrete floor. You know, he could do anything. But yeah, so that was the bull story. Dad milked the cows, and after every milking, he milked the cows and separated the cream and put the cream in a container, took it to the house, and sometimes it went in the refrigerator and sometimes it didn't. It just depended on the weather, whether it was cold or hot. And we had a Serval gas refrigerator, that after we molded as mother molded the butter, and we kids would wrap the butter paper and put it in a carton that had been stamped I.B. Ray. So he would pack that, we would pack that in that box and put a cold gunny sack.
Okay.
A cold gunny sack on there and some ice. And away we went. Before we got electricity, we had a gasoline engine with belt to drive it. And that gasoline engine also powered the Maytag washing machine. And so we made a lot of changes. And the reason we changed from making butter to selling milk was the war. And Dad's dairy friends talked him into just go to whole milk, and because of soldiers in San Antonio. Military, that was what we did that up. I built the first dairy barn in 1943. First dairy barn in 43. Otherwise, we were in a shed. That was a temporary permit, and as soon as we got the barn built, we just moved over.
Yeah.
Dad really did have them trained well. And the shed where we milked, he had an individual pen to release the cow, and she would back out and go out the gate. Now the gate was a big, wide gate, but Dad had closed it down to about this size. And when she got through milking, she just went right through there. And all the other cows were there in the lot. He had them trained. You know, you're talking about the name. The one that sticks with me is Fail.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
That's a Spanish word for ugly.
Oh, that poor cow.
Well, she was. She had a crooked face and didn't
She made good milk, huh?
Yeah.
Ask about what they did, like
First job that I can remember was carrying wood into the house for the fireplace. That's the first job I remember. And then first tractor drive, Dad had bought the first rubber-tired tractor here, Alice Chalmers flat top they call them. Driving that, and Dad put one of us on the steering wheel and one of us on the brake over here to make the turn, with a disc harrow behind it. You know, disc harrow behind it. Be sure you don't cut anybody up. And then later on, we got a little Ford Ferguson tractor, and I was the first one of the kids to drive it. I mean, like Dad had driven it. But my first time in it, I ran through a fence. I didn't get that. The way that thing is arranged was both brake and clutch on the same side. Some way, it made it very awkward. And sure enough, I ran through the fence. But the old Alice Chalmers flat top, it had the crank permanently mounted out front, and it had a mechanical lift for the implement. So if you didn't get the implement out of the ground before you made the turn, you hooked that crank on the fence post. I looked up the book the other day because I thought it was about this time of year when I started flying, and sure enough, it was in July of 1960 that I started flying, and flew for 48 years, 3,700 hours, no accidents and no violations, and the doctor said, "You're getting too old," and said you don't need a license anymore. So I quit.
What trouble did y'all get into?
Sam Parks, that guy right there. He was a retired airline, Southwest Airline pilot. And he did a favor for a friend if the friend would let him in the simulator. So we get in the simulator and we flew down here over the farm, but on takeoff, I can't hardly tell it without laughing. You're parked, tied down, you untie it, you turn to get on the taxiway, and then you turn back toward the runway, 90 degrees to the runway, and you stop. And that's to check to see if anybody's coming. So Sam says to me, "Is anybody coming?" And I turned my head and looked. Well, Sam would have a sack of flour, and he'd fly over the place here somewhere and try to drop it, and she'd drop it closest. Oh, baby.
What a mess.
I didn't get any X's on that.
Is there anything else that you remember growing up on a farm, working with your family?
That's it. That's it.
Good job, Uncle Carl.
Thank you.